What's up, everyone? So, thanks for watching my other video from last week. Terribly edited, but 150 to 80 people watched it, which is actually, for my first video that's like terribly edited, that's actually pretty damn good in my opinion. So I've been asked to do one about getting jobs and internships. Shout out to Echo and Abby in the group chat as well, which you can join the group chat here. Just scan this QR code. Now, I want to talk about how a lot of, again, before I start this, actually, I should note, this is based in Hobart, right? So if you're watching this from Melbourne, Sydney, America, whatever, right, the things I'm saying might not really match up from where you are living, because like there might be different opportunities and more opportunities over there than Hobart. So let's just describe Hobart in a nutshell. Let's just take the whole virus stuff out of the picture for a minute. Let's just go back to like 2019, before everything bad happened and whatever. So there are barely any jobs, and the jobs they want people who are qualified and have experience, or the people in the company. Typically those four things. Usually it more leans towards, if you know the people, you've got the job, essentially. So let's talk about some problems I notice with a lot of Chinese students in Hobart. And now I mentioned Hobart Chinese students is because I've been in the Chinese community since like 2017, teaching English, the immigration test, as well as running a company, doing the Chinese community radio, as well as we'll run a society, I guess, but that's for everyone. Now, again, these are my opinions. Of course, you can disagree with me, you can agree with me. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments or tell me on WeChat or whatever. I'll be interested to have a conversation about it. Now, in Hobart, the biggest problem Chinese students have is, the first thing is their resume, right? I have helped a lot of Chinese students fix up their resumes to apply for work in Hobart, right? Now, let's just say you're an accountant student and you put all this accounting stuff on your resume. First of all, if you're looking for an accountant job in Hobart, you must be crazy. There's really no accounting jobs in Hobart. I think a lot of them would prefer to hire interns to save money, as well as to do it internally. I don't think they would really want to hire an accountant or have the budget to hire an accountant. If they do, then I don't know, if they're a Chinese company, I don't know how they do their accountant stuff down here, but I can't guarantee it's the same as like local people. Now, let's just say you have a resume, and it's got all your beautiful accountant stuff on there, right? And you go to hand it into, let's just say you're looking for any job to get local experience. You're going to hand it into a clothes shop, McDonald's, whatever, right? And you highlight, I'll use this as a better example for my teaching company, right? We hire interns a lot, right? And we look for marketing and sales interns, right? We want to invite them in, build them up to work with our local people plus diverse people, build up their skills, and basically improve their abilities in the workplace, and say that they've worked in a local company. I think that's very important. Now, what happens usually is, when we ask for these people to work in our company, they hand in our resumes, and we specifically ask for marketing or sales. So what do you think they put on their resume? What do you think they highlight? Their accounting stuff. Like their accounting stuff, or their engineer stuff, or something that is not relevant to the job. And I don't care. I don't care how much of a good accountant you are. I really don't, because that's the job. I'm not asking you to do that job. I'm asking you to talk to people, do sales. And I don't think they read the descriptions that well, because when we have the interviews with them, most of the time they come in and we say specifically sales, and then they come in and they say, well, what job am I doing? And I'm like, sales. Like, come on. And then they say, oh, I don't have much sales experience, or blah blah. And I say it's okay, we can train you up. But then they don't put in the effort to learn sales, right? I think learning the skill for the job you're applying for is very, very important. I will go back to this topic a little later because I think that is a very important thing. Second thing is attitudes and expectations is the problem with people in the Chinese community in Hobart. Attitudes and expectations. They're usually together. So let's just talk about them. There is no easy way. Remember what I talked about in the PTE, right? I'll put like a little thing here, press this link to look at my PTE versus ELST video, and I'll tell you why the ELST, in my opinion, is long-term better than the PTE. Expectations are really, really high in the Chinese community when finding a job. The best example I can give is that Job Expo that Mandarin Korea, Jobs Tasmania, they have the same name, and New Stars did together, right? Now, I blame for this event to be a failure because of two reasons. One, the expectations from the students, and two, because it was a poorly made event. I want to talk about the poorly made event part first. So, for anyone who doesn't know, last year, the end of last year, there was a career festival in some small hotel in the city. And it was marketed to be like a huge event about finding jobs and stuff like that. Um, I can't bully New Star too much for this because like everyone has their first events, and I think it was like their first major event, and everyone, makes mistakes and learns from the first one. So in this department, I don't want to criticize them too much for that because like when I first started making events, I definitely did the same thing. I like under expected a lot of things, or I actually over expected a lot of things, which made it more sometimes as bad. Anyway, so the event itself was, I think it was falsely advertised for a lot of it. Like, there was only like 40 positions, I guess. I think there was less than that, maybe two. They're all banking companies, right? No, they're not all banking companies. There was like a bread baking company, banking companies, real estate, and some other sort of big company people coming, right? And it's good for the companies. Why? Because the companies get so much exposure. By the way, 1,000 people came to this event. Around 1,000 people. Like, there was a huge line. Like the banking companies and everyone there, because I talked to a few of them because I know the people who worked and also went to that event. They were very sort of happy with the results. A couple of them were unhappy because like a lot of the people there were looking to more promote and market their company, and the students were looking for a job, and I guess New Star Mandarin Career was looking to get I don't know if they got money from the companies, but I guess they could have got money as well as get more exposure to students. However, I think the reputation after that went down. Don't quote me on that. I think it did. So the event was poorly made and also poorly marketed. Like they talk about competitiveness, all that crap. Now, I think it was poorly made because of the fact of the way it was marketed, and the expectations were so high. Like I wouldn't say it's falsely marketed, but I'd say it's like it was terribly marketed. Now let's talk about the student side, right? Anyone that is smart enough would know that going to this expo with like 40 jobs there with banking companies, it'd be near impossible to get a job, right? Especially like a lot of students who would have went, right? they would have went to this event with their resumes and have no experience, maybe some accounting experience and their Master of Accounting degree. And they would be applying for these jobs. And let's just say 1,000 people came, right? Around 1,000 people did come. Let's just say 1 out of 1,000 has a banking experience or banking licenses. I don't know too much about working in a bank, but they have their banking qualifications. Then those 999 people have just wasted their time lining up for hours to come into a crappy hotel or whatever. That's the sort of expectation. Those 1,000 people surely thought they must have been could have been getting a job or something like that. But that's not reality. The reality is if one person, if you've got no experience, let's just say you've got no experience, right? One person has more experience than you, and that whole day waiting in line was wasted, essentially. And if you go to these career expos or these job expos, career days, job days, whatever, where you hand in your resumes. I don't know the correct way to really describe it in Chinese, right? You're wasting your time unless, like, if you have a banking degree or whatever company's going there, right? I think Census Plus also went there that day. If you can make really good bread, right, and you've worked in bread companies, then by all means, go to the job expo. You'll probably get the job if there was a job. But if you have no experience and you're applying for a bank job and there's 1,000 other people, the question you have to ask yourself is those, 999 people, do they have a banking experience? If so, yes, then what's the point of handing it in? They're going to go with the person who's well equipped, in this situation, or the person who has good networks. And do you have either of those? So the expectations of the students, those 1,000 people, surely must have been really high. And that's bad because there's no easy way to get a job, right? The easiest way to get a job is apply for seasonal work. At least with seasonal work, it's really, really easy. Because, like, the qualifications to work in a cherry farm is, can you move your hands? Yes or no? Yes, you've got the job. You can move your hands. Good job. Does your eyes work? Good job. You can work at a cherry farm. So that's the sort of easiest jobs you can get, right? Because they don't really care. As long as you can work in a farm, you're fine. Now, when you work in a local company, right, you have to have good communication skills. Good communication skills, the ability to work in a local company, resolve issues, as well as, I guess, customer communication as well. Communication skills with co-workers, customer communication skills, right? If you're at UTAS and you study the PTE, for example, again, link will be up here for my PTE video. If you study and you do PTE, does that mean you can speak good English? Does that mean you can communicate with local people in the workplace? Because as soon as you get to the workplace, you will figure out how difficult it is to talk to local people. And you'll figure out how difficult it is to, like, actually have a conversation with people. And that's why I think the PTE is bad. But I also think, again, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Go watch my other video. I think a lot of it has to do with expectations of institutions, but the attitudes of students is also bad. I feel like a lot of Chinese people in Hobart, not all of them, definitely not all of them, they have high expectations for the PTE and they have high expectations of going to a career expo and finding a job. If I, a local person, was going to one of these career expos, right, I wouldn't be handing in my resume if there was 1,000 people. I'd be going up to them and I'll say, these are the things I would say. One is, what company are you? What are the requirements of joining your company? And how can I apply in the future? Because if I'm going to work in a bank, right, and there was a career expo, I would figure out, like, how to work there and how to apply and what is the best way to work in the bank and can get a position compared to my other competitors and the other people applying. Now, I want to talk about the values of a certificate, right? A lot of students, they work really, really hard for their Master of Accounting, mostly for immigration reasons, which I can understand, or IT, engineering, whatever degree you're working on, right? And they think that once they finish their accounting degree, that's all the learning they need to do. And that's just false. That's such a huge load of shit. And the reason why, I want you to picture this, right? Imagine you have a sports car, like a very expensive car, right? In your friend group, how cool are you if you have I don't know, a $500,000 sports car, or just say 600,000, doesn't matter, right? You have a very, very expensive Lamborghini. All your friends will think you're cool. Girls will want to date you. Girls will love you. You know, you'll be the coolest guy around because you're driving around in a freaking sports car. Now, just imagine if you have a sports car, your friend has a sports car, your mum has a sports car, your neighbors have a sports car, your uncle, everyone has a sports car. Do people think you're still cool? No, because everyone has a sports car. It's just normal, right? That is what an accounting degree, in my opinion, looks like. You graduate with the Master of Accounting. Well, congratulations. This guy has the Master of Accounting. This guy has the Master of Accounting. This guy has the Master of Accounting. You have no advantage, really, in the workplace. Yeah, you might have an advantage against some guy who has a bachelor's degree in accounting. But that guy with a bachelor's degree in accounting, if he's local, he probably has people who he knows in the workplace, that he probably has local experience. So how can you beat that? The question is, you can't unless you change the way you think again. And this is what I talked about last video, is the attitudes need to change. When you graduate, or even before you graduate, you should be talking to local people, communicating with your classmates, going to the career expos to find out some more information, as well as workshops. Internships. Now, I got asked about internships. Internships are still pretty hard. Like, a lot of companies prefer to do it over hiring. I guess because like it's a lot cheaper. The only downside of hiring interns is you're not gambling, but you don't know how good they're going to be until they do it, right? Now, I want to talk about the researching the jobs, for example, right? A lot of students, they don't sort of realize or research jobs when they're doing the interns or after the interns or whatever, right? Even if you're working in sales, let's just say you got a job in sales, right? You know what I would do if I got a job in sales? One, I would understand the customers. Who are the customers? What do they want? How to be a salesperson in that field. How to effectively communicate with people. Learn the slang, sort of like the slang or the jargon of the area of work, as well as talk to people who might have had a job in that, or YouTuber, right? I want to talk about myself for a minute. When I was doing real estate, right? I had sales experience way before I started real estate, and I felt pretty confident doing it, right? Um, However, it's real estate, and when I first got the job working in real estate as a business development manager, I was very, very new to real estate in general. I helped a couple of people, helped my friends with like illegal landlord situations, which I can talk about in another video. I spent every night for like a week just researching the real estate game, how to effectively make a how to make a sale, as well as communicating with our clients, as well as the best ways to effectively make a sale, essentially. And there was one time, that was actually my first day, and we went to sell be able to get a listing. A listing is like the ability to sell someone's house, right? My first day on the job, was trying to get a listing from a $1.5 million house in Sandy Bay, which is like the top of the top of the top of the hill, right? And I spent all night researching this house, who is the seller, and how to effectively make that sale. And I learned that the client we were dealing with, he was a former police detective. He owned lots of different smaller companies, as well as former police detective, owned lots of companies, as well as he owned another 52 houses in Claremont. He owned like a subdivision, like a whole area he owned pretty much. And I told our director that day when we were going there, I said, look, this guy is a former police detective. If we go around and we just talk really big words and pretend we're like super cool and like try and get the house that way, he's going to just see through, right? Because his job is to see through people and to see through lies, right? So we went there and we were just as honest as we could, and we just told him just straight up how we want to do it, how we're going to do it. And he seemed very, very happy with that. And I knew it was working because, like, when he was looking at our director, I can tell he was analyzing. I've learned psychology as well, and he was looking at her, analyzing her, seeing if she was like full of shit, like lying, or whether she was telling the truth. And he saw he gave us the houses in the end. Like, he let us list the houses, which is great. He also gave us the houses in Moona, Claremont, or wherever as well, which was great. It was my first day of the job, and I managed to do my research. I understood the job, as well as understood our clients, our client base, right? Who are our clients? That's very, very important, because if you go into a job thinking that you don't have to research, even if it's an internship, the most important value of an internship is don't waste an opportunity. Don't think like it's just gonna come and go, right? How many more chances of an internship will you get, right? Treat it like it's the most important thing. It was like another story of mine, right? I used to be a operations manager at a cherry farm, right? Which is pretty high up, right? Really, really high up. And then I got another position at a vegetable factory. It's just a labor worker, like someone who moves boxes, and it was a crap job, physically demanding and like very exhausting. I could have went into this smaller position. I could have just like, tried to get to operations manager, climb myself up, or I could and get everyone mad, or I could just keep doing my job, right? And hate it. I loved it because like it was an opportunity for me to start again. It was an opportunity for me to learn the structure of this company and to learn how to work with, because I've never really worked with like 50-year-old local people. Even for like younger people, it's very difficult for me to work with older people, because like the values of life are completely different. Like, a lot of the people who worked in there that were like mature aged, their value was go to work, do the work, go home. Don't give a fuck about doing extra work. They don't really help a lot of people, apart from like the people maybe that they like, as well as they don't want to get promoted, but they always complain. They complain about change. They complain about other people not doing the work, and they complain about other things, but they don't do anything. They love to complain, but they don't do anything about it. It's very simple. And that's very hard for me, because like I'm a very ambitious person. I like to go in and I like to make the most out of an opportunity. And slowly over time, I got more power at the workplace, because I showed them that I'm a hard worker and I'm not there to joke around. So I think what I'm trying to say with those two examples is you need to make the most out of every opportunity, and you need to do your research. Just because you got a sales job and you just start talking to random people on WeChat, that means nothing, right? You need to research how to do the sales work, essentially. I think that's very important. Then through that, you can get experience as well as other opportunities might arise. But like if you're fixing up your resume, right, and you put on, we'll go back to that part. If you go to put your resume into a company, let's just say it's a marketing company, and you put all your accounting stuff there, then you've already done it wrong. What you need to do is if you're applying for a marketing job, put the marketing stuff. Like you can say to me, oh, Nathan, but I haven't done any marketing jobs. I might have only done whatever. It doesn't matter. Just like, let's just say you worked in a banking company or anything in China, right? Maybe you did a little bit of marketing, communications. Maybe you talk to customers. Maybe you understand the Chinese customers. Maybe you understand the local customers, right? International customers. You highlight that for a marketing job. Sales job, let's just say you work in an accounting company, you have no sales experience. You can say you had to work in teams, you had to talk to clients. Just highlight specific stuff, right? For example, if I was to apply for a job working in, I don't know, food services, right? I have not worked in a kitchen. However, I've done sausage chisels for the society. I've done food preparation for the University of Tasmania, like through society stuff, as well as what other food experience do I have? I guess like home economics, like cooking classes in high school, right? As well as, oh yeah, the vegetable factory as well, like food quality assurance, that sort of stuff. Although it's not cooking, meals, a lot of it has to do with health and safety training, working with food and food preparation. I can put that down for my job working in a kitchen, right? I think that's very important. Now, I think this video should be about this long. What I'm trying to say to you guys is, in order to get a job, and in order to find a job effectively, what you guys need to do is put in the work. There is no easy way. Don't ever think to yourself that there's an easy way, because there's not. It's just not a reality, right? Don't wait in line for a potential chance to get a job, right? Go out there, hand in your resumes yourself, talk to the owner, have a conversation with the owner. Make sure you have more than your certificate, your Master of Accounting, whatever experience on there, because like people value experience. Network, talk to locals, and practice your communication skills. That's the only way, right? And if you're someone who goes to Pass, for example, not Pass, Focus, the church place. If you go to Focus, ask the owner for a reference as well, and just say that you've helped out or like participated, talk to local people, because that's still local experience. The owner of Focus is a local, so you can get that experience. That's easy, right? Just ask him for a reference. If you're friends with me, ask me for a reference. The more local stuff you have on there is the easiest part. If you continue to work like in sort of Chinese companies, it's not going to help you. There's not much transition, right? Like because a lot of companies really worry about your communication with local people. I think that's the most important thing. And a lot of students don't have that because they think it's too hard, or it's so hard to talk to local people, whatever. Don't do the PTE. Seriously. Or if you do the PTE, learn English as well. Remember, this is the thing I've seen in the Chinese community in Hobart is the normal way that people do things to stay in their community in the Hobart area. That's not going to help you in the long term. And I'll talk about this at length in another video. But staying in your community, only getting Chinese jobs because you're scared talking to local people or whatever. Restaurants might be the exception for that. If you work in a Chinese restaurant, it might be easy to get a job in a local restaurant because like you still have to talk to local people. The communication stuff there is still there. So Restaurants are okay, but you have to deal with potentially illegal pay. Another thing is talking, and the work structures of Chinese companies are very different to local companies, as well as like if you work in like a language institution, an immigration agency, maybe even a Chinese supermarket, like Asian Town or something like that, you still talk to local people, but you're still predominantly dealing with Chinese clients, because a lot of them only really target Chinese people. So like, don't always put yourself in that position, right? Try and find jobs that are not in your the Chinese circle, and expand out, because like the more diverse experience you have, the better you are at finding a job. But like, it's very important to get that expectation out of your mind of it's the easy way or it's impossible. Both are terrible thinking. It's going to be hard, but if you keep trying and trying and trying, or if you've got an intern or whatever and you keep trying and trying and trying, just make sure that you always try, no matter what the opportunity is. If you're doing sales and you suck at sales, or you're not getting any customers, right? Google, YouTube, whatever. Google, YouTube, how to make better sales. How do people make sales, right? Because like, if you don't make any sales and you work as an intern for this company and you think, oh, it's too hard or whatever, right? Then you're only putting yourself down. You need to work harder. Because like, if you get that intern and you make no sales and you put that company down as a reference, and then the company you're applying for calls them up and says, oh, hey, what do you think about this person? Unless I'm friends with you, I would say they can't make a sale, don't hire them. Because it's simple, because like, they've wasted everyone's time. So in order to not waste time, research how whatever company operates. How does a factory operate? How does an accounting company, selling, the common fashion, favorite coffees, if you're working in a coffee shop, local culture, coffee stuff. Don't go into a coffee shop, hand in your resume, and not know anything about coffee, right? If I was to hand my resume into a wine company, I don't know shit about wine. And I went into the interview and they asked me questions about wine, I'd be fucked, because like, I don't know anything about wine. How am I supposed to get a job? Do you know anything about coffee culture? Do you know anything about local fashion? Do you know anything about working with local companies, expectations of local people? Research that and you'll have a lot easier time. Anyway, thanks for this video. I'll also put up a promotional thing there for Shanghai King Bun. They've sponsored our podcast a couple of days ago, so definitely go in there. You can get like a 15% discount there, which is amazing. Help support them and help support me. I'll also put our podcast I did with Brave Lucy up very, very soon. Because I've just gotten lazy about that. Yeah, and check out my other video, as well as if you have any questions, here is my QR code, scan my QR code, and also here's the group chat. If you want to join the group chat, talk to me, suggest any other videos, chat with everyone, have a good time. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. If you liked the video today, please like and subscribe. If you want to see any more future videos from us, add me on WeChat and I'll add you into our group chat as well. If you want ELST, PTE or everyday English lessons, please sign up, scan my QR code. I'll hook you up with a free trial lesson for any of the things that you desire, and we can make it happen. I think the most important thing is quality. So please help the community, please help me, help you guys, and like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for watching.